Okay, welcome back to yet another episode on the Bootleg Corner with the Bootleg God. This time we'll be going back to talking about movies. This is a movie review of arguably the hottest producer out right now, Martin Scorsese. And no, this is not a movie review on Killers of the Flower Moon. This is instead a throwback to the 90s. It's one of the best gangster mafia movies ever produced. This is a review of Casino by Martin Scorsese, produced in 1996, starring Robert De Niro as usual, Joe Pesci and Sharon Stone. With Killers of the Flower Moon occupying cinemas, we decided to go back as we wait for digital release to get into some of Martin Scorsese's earlier movies. The mid to end 90s were undoubtedly the golden era of mafia organizations, and the movie community followed suit with multiple movies on mafia godfathers, in which Martin Scorsese was no exception. Today's movie is no other than Casino, produced in 1996, starring Robert De Niro, who plays Sam Rustin, who is sent by the mafia to manage a casino in Vegas. Also starring Joe Pesci as Nicky Santoro, who is the muscle of the casino, known for his rough, brash and abrasive manners. The casino is a quiet but efficient means of making money for the bosses, as over $2 million in raw cash, I repeat, raw cash, is taken out of the count room in Vegas and delivered to the bosses every month without fail. First off, my first thought watching this movie is obviously that you can see the time lapse. I mean, the year is 2023 right now, and the first impression is that 27 years is a long time, and it's immediately noticeable in the movie. The fashion, the transports, the culture, the technology is so very ancient from this point of view. Also, almost everyone is wearing suits or some form of formal wear. This is a common theme in all mafia flicks. Even the most rough and grimy bully boy has to have a minimum level of appearance and fashion, no matter their profession. So what you mostly see in mafia movies is big suits, wide neck collar shirts, and most noticeably a cigarette addiction. I don't know what they find in cigarettes that is so exciting, but almost everyone is addicted to cigarettes. So you find them lighting cigars and always around the lighters at every time. And the second thing that is immediately noticeable in this movie is that the real criminals make sure they are as far from the crime scene as possible. The crime scene in this movie is happening in Vegas, and they make sure it stays that way. The bosses make sure it stays that way, only collecting their cut in briefcases every month. Now, money works in mysterious ways if you know where to apply it. I mean, a casino in Vegas funded by the mafia without a license, raking in millions every week without fail. I mean, that's clean business. It is also a lesson to gamblers. They are here to take your money, no matter how suave, how elegant, no matter how many advertisements, no matter how they dress it, they are here to take your money. I mean, look at this scene. KK Ichikawa cleans them for millions before trying to travel. They went through a lot, colluded and mangled their way through the private jet pilot and the commercial connecting flights just to block his departure and discreetly guide him back to the casino so he could lose his money this time. I mean, talk about planning. Now, on the other hand, for as hard as these mafia guys may seem, they are always soft and mushy on the inside. They also never seem to take close looks at their friends until shit hits the fan. I mean, literally. Sam Rustin orders the breaking of a card sharp's hand with a hammer with a bare flick of his hand, but fails to spot the idiocy in falling in love with a game girl. He is the most calculated person in this movie. I mean, this is a man who knows if the pitcher's pregnant mistress will affect the swing of his bat, but yet with multiple red flags in his face like a matador bull, he ignores or fails to spot them in the most flighty city in the world. I mean, who goes to Vegas and falls in love? Like, what's the logic in that? But then, this is just what we get when someone is so hard on the outside. The little minute details that you think they might spot, they might just ignore in favor of the flighty feeling of love. But that is the beauty of the story. The infallible, hard-nosed gambler finally picks a losing hand with blatant disregard for anything else. As to Nicky Santoro, one can draw a straight line between him and Tommy Egan in Power. For those of you who've watched Power, you know who Tommy Egan is. Street boys who made their way to the top and cannot elevate beyond using their fists to solve problems. I mean, the small-time mentality of using force to tackle every situation is both their greatest strength and their greatest weakness. Where others would prefer to come to agreements, after all, the most important rule of a gentleman, according to The Godfather by Mario Puzo, is being reasonable. Nicky is shoot first and shoot later. Even as they rise in financial power, their attitude never changes, and this tumbles the perfect house of cards that Sam Rothstein has built in Vegas. The lure and power of money is yet another major theme in this movie. Vegas, as Nicky Santoro thinks, is basically the Wild West. Everybody is out to make a quick buck by exploiting whatever loophole or weakness possible. The money spent in bribes in this movie is a story for another day, but that is what keeps the place running. It gives the feel of a very big game with infinite players. Now, another major theme in this movie is love, and there is a glaring lack of it in this movie. I mean, the characters are hard-nosed cracks who do anything for a piece of change. Nicky Santoro robs, steals, and even extorts for it. The mob bosses are literally organizing the whole casino scam. The money counters are picking off wherever they can. Dealers are shaving off money wherever they can. The security is getting bribes from all and sundry. The valet parkers are getting bribes from everyone. The guy even delivering the money to the mob bosses is shaving off some thousands wherever he can. Sharon Stone, who plays Ginger McKenna, who later marries Sam Rothstein, is out to fleece everybody, most especially Sam Rothstein. Sam's wife boyfriend is also in it solely for the money. Everybody is getting a slice of the pie, no matter how small, and that is the only way it has to work. Now, the last theme of the movie is that the game is rigged against you from the start. Nobody wins except the bosses, no matter how powerful or how connected you think you are. Once the bosses give the okay, you are getting cooked. I mean, shit, Nicky Santoro thought he had it all lined up, and look at him. He got himself and his brother beaten within an inch of their lives and then buried alive in the same grave. I mean, that's as cold-hearted as it gets. Every other person who was deemed liable to snitch was whacked with immediacy. There was no chance for slouching. If the bosses thought you knew too much or you were a danger to them, that was a ticket to the grave. Every other person who was deemed liable to snitch was whacked with immediacy. There was no chance for slouching. If the bosses thought you knew too much, that was an immediate ticket to the grave. There was no chance to say, there's a probability. They will not deal in probabilities. Once they thought you had the smallest chance of snitching on them, that was a ticket to the grave. Now, as to characters, plot, believability, pacing, fight scenes, this movie was as good as it gets. There was nobody in this movie that felt out of place. There was nobody in this movie that you could look at and say, oh, no, that person is not supposed to be there. That's where the cast comes in. The cast was literally perfect for this movie. Believability, everybody played the role they were supposed to. Nicky looks like the hard-nosed guy you do not want to meet anywhere. It looks like the guy that will take no jokes, that will just break your fingers just for the point of breaking your fingers. It doesn't give you the feeling of being a soft, mushy guy that they took to play the role of a hard-nosed bully boy. Like, he fits in the role of a bully boy to a T. He fights, he's a shoot first, shoot later kind of guy, as we said earlier. And so he plays that to perfection in this movie. Robert De Niro plays the suave Sam Rothstein perfectly. He's the smooth, calculated guy, always in a suit, always with a cigar, trying to make his life as smooth and as perfect as possible. And that is exactly what makes his downfall so epic. He's way too concerned with that smooth, that suave, that calculated and controlled persona that he ignores all the warning signs around him, trying to make his wife also part of that cult of personality where she's also smooth and packaged and all that. But that is where he falls down irrevocably. Now, as to fight scenes, we don't think that there were any fight scenes in this movie, just violent beatdowns delivered by Nikki and Ishria. I mean, the guys they were even beaten down did not attempt to fight back because they knew how powerful the entity they were facing was. Everyone just took their beating and waited for the next time, for the next beating to come around again if they were going to be involved. So there were no fighting in this movie. Nikki and his boys just delivered the appropriate beatdown as at when due, and everyone took it without even trying to retaliate because they knew how powerful the organization Nikki worked for was. So that was just it. Now, this is a movie to represent the times and give strong lessons. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. This is a flighty city built for entertainment and vacation, not for falling in love. A city like this is where you should be on your guard at every minute, not looking for love. Secondly, the bad guys often win, but if you are not among this elite group, then sorry is your name. Nikki and a host of others learned this lesson: eat with the devil, use a long fork. You are not too important to get work. Never play with the money. If it's the most cardinal rule of criminals, everything is about the money. They might not say it is, they might deny that it is, but have it at the back of your mind. It is always about the money. Never play with the money. Nikki did and found out the hard way, and that was the only reason Sam Rustin was left alive. That's a wrap on the Casino. If you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notifications, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Still the bootleg god on the bootleg corner. Like, share, subscribe.